This is a ceramic mug. This is a ceramic lined stainless steel mug from RTIC. One breaks, one doesn't. So what's the deal with the ceramic lined coating, and why does every RTIC cup have it now? RTIC sent me 5 of their best-selling drinkware products, all ceramic lined, and today we're gonna find out if that actually makes a difference in taste or temperature, plus some extreme leak testing.
Gear up and get outside.
Big thanks to RTIC for sponsoring this video and for sending their cups, mugs, and jugs for me to test. They didn't tell me what to say, they just said put them through their paces, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. RTIC now uses ceramic coating in all their drinkware. While this isn't a totally novel idea, it's very unique that they do this in literally all of their drinkware items. It's why these are all white inside. They're still made of stainless steel, vacuum insulated and double walled, but the inside has a thin layer of ceramic. The idea is to keep your drink tasting pure without that metallic tang some cups have. It also makes them easier to clean, especially that funk left in there after your coffee with too much cream and sugar got left in the car for a couple of days, if you know what I mean. But they're not totally fragile like a fully ceramic coffee mug. We're gonna test these for heat retention, ice retention, taste, and leaks, and find out if this ceramic coating is the real deal or just marketing fluff. Let's start hot. Not every RTIC cup is designed for hot drinks. The cup itself can handle it. It's more about the plastic lid and how we drink it. You see, straws are great for getting swole on chilly protein shakes, but most Homo sapiens prefer to sip, not suck, their steamy morning brew. Our lips are like Peter at the pearly gates. When something's too hot, they say, hold your horses and cool down before you come rushing into my fleshy mouth and burn off all my taste buds. Hence the different lids. Straws for cold drinks, sip lids for hot ones. I tried them all with hot water anyway. I included 5 of RTIC's current drinkware lineup: a 16-ounce road trip travel mug, a 20-ounce essential tumbler, a 32-ounce Outback bottle, a 40-ounce road trip tumbler, and a 1-gallon Outback jug. To test whether the new design and ceramic coating had any impact on heat retention, I also threw in a few old RTIC drinkware items, all unlined steel inside. I wanted to use boiling water for this test, but we're not Targaryens from Game of Thrones. We can't walk through fire, and we don't drink anything that's boiling unless we're being tortured, which would also be a very Targaryen thing to do. Now, the ideal drinking temperature for coffee is said to be between 120 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit for drinking pleasure and optimal flavor discovery, which means an ideal serving temperature would be around 160 to 185 degrees. At least that's what they supposedly aim for in coffee shops. You lose some heat to pouring or preparing your hot drink, but you still want it to be hot enough for long enough to enjoy. Take note, however, that these insulated cups are gonna hold heat way better than paper cups, so be careful how hot your coffee is going in. I heated a big pot of water to approximately 170 degrees Fahrenheit since that's on the low end of the typical serving temperature range. I filled each RTIC with the hot water and recorded the starting temp in my handy dandy spreadsheet just before I put the lids on. As you can see, they already lost about 10 degrees from pot to pour. Then I set them all in a cooler chilled with ice because this felt more extreme. Testing cups is getting wild around here. I closed the cooler and came back later to check temperatures. After 2 hours and 15 minutes, the 16-ounce mug was still smack dab in the middle of ideal coffee drinking temperature range at 130 degrees. Its stainless steel predecessor was right there too at 129 degrees, as was the new 20-ounce tumbler. The old 20-ounce tumbler was at 126 degrees, but the water in the 32-ounce bottle was at 147 degrees. Like reality TV on Netflix, that's still too hot to handle for me. The steel bottle's water was 146 degrees, the 40-ounce mug was 143 degrees, and the big 1-gallon jug was at 151 degrees, only a 9-degree drop since I poured it in. Wow! To monitor the ambient temperature, I had also put a Bluetooth thermometer inside the cooler. The next observation wasn't until 5 hours after I first poured the hot water in these cups. At that point, the 4 smaller cups, both old and new, measured 109 or 110 degrees, which is below the ideal coffee temperature, but still not cold. If you started your day with a coffee and sat in an icebox that long, it's time to move on to lunch now. So in my opinion, that's a pretty great result, and you should get out of that box. The 32-ounce bottles were at about 135, the big mug at 129, and the jug hadn't even entered the green zone yet at a staggering 143 degrees. I wanted to see how long it would take to drop below 100 degrees, which is probably when the barista definitely isn't getting a tip, and you might even leave a nasty Google review. An hour and a half later, or 6.5 hours after the start, even the small cups were still just over that 100-degree mark, while the bigger bottles and mug were still holding in the green zone. But the jug had just now become sip-worthy at 140 degrees. So you could fill this thing up with hot cocoa in the morning, ski all day, and it'll be just right when you get back to the car with the kids. They say the longer hot drinks are left in a stainless steel cup, the more you get that metallic flavor coming through. So at this point, I did a quick taste test. The new style. Oh yeah, there's a little metal taste. Yep, you don't get it in there. Wow, that's true. You definitely get a little bit of a twinge of metal in there, but not in here. That evening I did a final check of these hot drinks and then I called it good for the night. When I checked back in the morning, about 24 hours later, most of the drinkware had water that was too cold to be interesting, except for that big jug, which was still over 100 degrees. Very impressive. Here's a chart of the results. Feel free to pause your screen on these when I show them if you really want to geek out on this stuff. The 16-ounce mugs and 20-ounce tumblers all stayed within a couple degrees of each other, and the ceramic coating clearly doesn't hurt heat retention. Given the substantial thermal mass of this 1-gallon Outback jug and the heat-holding power it wields in comparison to the 16-ounce road trip travel mug, for example, one strategy for the unbridled caffeinator might be to fill one's jug with coffee and refill one's mug on demand. I dare say this might keep you red-eyed and jitter-tailed for the better part of an overnight campout. Truth be told, we don't go into pitch black freezing cold boxes to drink our warm beverages. Now for cold, which is ironically more my cup of tea. Moms and dads all over the suburban United States love sipping cold water from their big dumb cups all day in an effort to improve their health and their public image. Though we all know that most of us millennial sippers are just slurping up Coca-Cola under the disguise of hydration all day. I'm not sorry about it. Anyway, I filled each drink receptacle to the brim with ice, then I added tap water. Besides a color-coordinated cohort of the new drinkware, I included the OG non-ceramic coated RTIC bottle and big travel mug. I set all the contestants outside and recorded an initial temperature reading of the water for each. I screwed each lid on tight and set them in a sunny spot in my backyard, where I then proceeded to wait for ice to melt. I also set a thermometer nearby so I could track the ambient air temperature. I came back for my first observation about 2.5 hours later. Unsurprisingly, the water was still at 33 degrees Fahrenheit and ice was still present in all of them. But that spot wasn't sunny anymore, and it's not hot here in Idaho this time of year, so I decided to take measures to simulate a more extreme summertime environment. I brought them all out front and set them on top of the Tomato, our nickname for our bulbous little new driver car. Then I set a clear plastic storage bin over top of the drinkware and the temperature began to climb immediately. When I came back a few hours later, I was satisfied to see my mini greenhouse was effective. It's been about 5 hours since I put ice water in these bad boys. Oh yeah, it says 113 degrees on this little thermometer here. It's definitely warmer in there than it was in the shade in the back. Ice was still present in all of the cups, mugs, and jugs at this point, but I took the water temperatures anyway. They were all within 2 degrees of each other, between 32 and 34. So I put the cover back on and came back later. It has been 9 hours. Let's see how these are doing. All of them still have ice, go figure. While the 16-ounce mug was slightly warmer at 34 degrees, the rest all measured right at freezing temperature of 32 degrees. Go figure. RTIC says their drinkware can keep drinks cold for up to 24 hours, so I brought them back outside the next morning and checked for myself. I wasn't surprised to find the 16-ounce mug and 20-ounce tumbler were out of ice, but the water was still reasonably cool at 47 degrees. The rest of them, still at 32 degrees with plenty of ice. This seemed like a good time for another taste test between the new and the old. I think I'm tasting more the flavor of the ice I bought in there than anything. Yeah, I can taste metallic on that. Yep, for sure. I think the longer it's in there, the more stark it becomes, especially with like plain water or tap water like this is. So yeah, hey, good for me. And good for the ceramic coated thing. It was more of an overcast day, but I went ahead and put the remaining cold water contestants atop the Tomato with the greenhouse cover on top again. I pressed on with the ice retention test. That afternoon, nearly 28 hours after the test began, the big 40-ounce tumblers were out of ice. It has now been well over 24 hours. And this is now out of ice and it's warming up. But the water in the new one was 5 degrees colder than in the old one. The Outback water bottles and jug were still icy cold. I came back for one final observation that evening, 33 hours since the beginning, and the bottles still had a little ice left. The jug, it still has ice now, 2.5 days later. Wowzers! It appears the ceramic coating does not impact how well Arctic Drinkware keeps drinks hot or cold. Taste is where ceramic makes its case, so I did a blind taste test with the team. Same drink, 2 cups for each round. 1 old stainless Arctic and 1 new ceramic lined Arctic. Outside of their view, I placed the 2 bottles under a cardboard box. Each participant stuck their straws through the cardboard blind and into each bottle to take a drink. We started with filtered bottled water that I poured into the Arctics. That should eliminate any odd flavors that can show up in tap water. I poured it into the Outback bottles the night before as well. Hannah went first, then Zach, and then John. Then we took a vote. All in favor of A. Okay, all in favor of B?
Right here.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, she said, but the metallic taste was extremely strong on it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
You're correct. You are correct. So
Wow. The difference was pretty intense.
Was it?
Like extreme almost.
Okay. All right.
It was a clear difference.
You put metal shavings in there, didn't you?
You
Chase?
scammed us.
After the decisive results of round 1, I thought perhaps the conclusion was imminent. But the plot thickens. For round 2, we tried it with an electrolyte drink. I mixed tap water, liquid IV, and ice. The team tasted it and voted.
Okay. Just have to remember that.
Hannah, you did well in science class, I can tell. Who liked A better? Who liked B better? The plot thickens.
Oh!
How about that?
Interesting.
Liquid IV, and they chose the steel.
It just had a cleaner flavor, I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Cleaner flavor.
I just preferred it.
Okay. But when I tasted it, I honestly couldn't tell the difference. I don't know that my palate is trustworthy. I can't tell the difference. And they admitted that the difference they perceived was subtle at best.
Yeah, you kind of have to
It's very
You just need to do it twice.
For round 3, we did freshly poured Diet Coke with ice because you know that's what most of them moms be drinking all day out of them big old cups. This one was also interesting and people felt compelled to retaste to see if they could confirm a difference. Confirm their choice?
Do you?
Yeah.
See if you're right.
Okay, are we ready to go to a vote? This vote also yielded a unanimous result. Okay, who votes for B as the better tasting? Who votes for A?
Oh.
Oh.
My friends, how about that? So
Wow.
did you notice a difference? Did it taste different, or were you just trying to draw out little
It
particularities?
definitely
something
was very
different?
subtle.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like the flavor of that one better. Just
Yeah.
a little-
Yet once again, when I tried it, I couldn't tell the difference on this one either. I'm proud of your guys' acuteness of taste because I can't tell a lick of difference. For the final round, we did hot herbal tea that had been sitting in the cup for a couple hours. This one was not a blind test because I wanted people to be able to use their sense of smell, which has a tremendous impact on taste. To my amazement, this too yielded a unanimous result.
A or B? I choose A.
A being the new black Arctic one.
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the water, it way like the metallic-y taste was so much stronger in the
No
stainless.
kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like
Okay.
this one was very clean, very smooth.
And the scent, like the aroma of this just felt better. Like I didn't feel like, oh, I could smell metallic or I could smell the cup.
Yeah.
Interesting. Everyone said the ceramic-lined Arctic drinkware tasted cleaner with plain water and hot drinks, especially after the beverage had been sitting in there for a while. So if you're looking for a water bottle or a coffee mug, the ceramic coating is the clear winner. But with flavored cold drinks, the stainless steel lined drinkware won out ever so subtly, though no one could quite put their finger on why.
Definitely was very
different.
subtle.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like the flavor of that one better. Just
Yeah.
a little-
And personally, I couldn't even tell the difference. I can't help but wonder if that soda had been sitting in there for a while, or if we repeated the test 100 times, if the results would be the same, or if it would be a wash. What do you think? Drop a comment and let us know. Now, just for fun, how about some leak testing? Let's start with what might actually happen. With lid screwed on and shut tight, I tipped each cup over on the table. Sure enough, none of them leaked. But that big road trip tumbler has a straw you can use, so I tested it with the straw in. The first time it landed directly on the lip of the cap for the straw, and it did indeed spill some water. But if it tips over anywhere else, it's remarkably watertight. But what if you have the cap open on your cup, like it often is while sitting on your desk? How much will each cup spill before you can grab it? The 16-ounce mug and tumbler leaked like you might expect. Not dry, but manageable, and the lid stayed on. The Outback bottle didn't leak much at all before I snatched it up. The road trip tumbler lost a bit more. And the jug is gonna do what jugs do and let it all out fast. Let's have a little fun now, shall we, and shake it like a salt shaker. No drips, no dice. What if I toss them in the yard? What then? The mug didn't leak at all. Neither did the 20-ounce tumbler. But the 32-ounce Outback bottle had some bad luck on the landing. Okay, upon closer inspection of this water bottle, look, that cap actually cracked. So I think the pressure from landing right on the bottom made it pop up. Look, you can see that crack. That's not supposed to be there. The road trip tumbler ate some dirt, but was fine and leak-free after a couple of tosses. The survival of your water in the Outback jug just depends on how it lands. Once it was fine, but when it landed lid first, the whole lid popped out and the water was gone. In one more ridiculous attempt to entertain you with an absurd leak test, I made my way to the roof of my house and dropped them all. The things I do for the TV. That was fun. With a new lid, even the Outback bottle was leak-free. And even this water bottle did fine this time. Check that out. No leaks. Put a different lid on it, obviously, but as long as it just doesn't hit right there and just put enough pressure to break that cap, then it was fine. Cool. Only the jug lost its lid to the pressure like a t-ball coach that's trying too hard. That was cool. Wow, that one really, I think it did the same thing, hit the edge. Oh yeah, you can see, bam. Got enough leverage, but again, nothing's cracked on that. Doesn't look damaged, so lost my water, but didn't lose my jug. So lesson learned, don't drop these jugs off of high places. Each of RTIC's drinkware items has its place and serves its own purpose. The road trip travel mug is ideal for coffee-fueled commutes and fits in your cup holder perfectly, even next to your water cup. The Essential Tumbler is a fancy cup for hot or cold drinks in the evening while the game's on, and like all RTIC's drinkware now, it doesn't sweat and has a built-in coaster. The Outback bottle is for everyday activities, the kids' sport practices, and day hikes. These are basically staples in everyone's cupboards now. The road trip tumbler is my favorite for drinking Coke all day. I mean hydrating with water all day. And I have really come to rely on these big 1-gallon Outback jugs for transporting fresh cold water on camping trips. Compared to similar big-name drinkware, RTIC still packs in a ton of value and is usually cheaper per ounce. And now they've added this ceramic lining for the same price. So yeah, ceramic coating, it's not hype. It keeps water fresh and hot drinks tasting clean without giving up performance anywhere else. People love the look, feel, lack of scent, and ease of cleaning that comes with that ceramic lining. Big thanks to RTIC for sponsoring this one. And by the way, they sent me a bunch of extras to give away to our audience. So sign up for the Honey Hole email newsletter, and that will enter you into our weekly gear giveaways, and you just might be able to snag one of these for free. You can subscribe to that and check out all the RTIC drinkware I used in the links below. And if you're into this kind of gear testing, hit subscribe, then go watch this video next. Or just go find your favorite cup and throw it off your roof. For science.